The film opens with a note. After the events of September 2001, the United States deployed 10,000 troops to Afghanistan to conduct a military campaign. 10 years later, the number of American service members had reached nearly 100,000. To simplify operations, the armed forces began working with local interpreters. In exchange for their support, interpreters received visas for themselves and their families through a special program. The story begins in March 2018 at a checkpoint located on a rural road. Sergeant John Kinley and his unit are inspecting passing vehicles. They are assisted by a local interpreter, whom some drivers contemptuously call a jackal for helping the occupiers. During one of the inspections, a truck packed with explosives detonates, killing a soldier and the interpreter. At Bagram Air Base, a new interpreter is assigned to Kinley's team to replace the one who died. John closely observes Ahmed, a former mechanic who was recruited to join their team. Soon, the unit embarks on its first operation to locate a Taliban weapons cache, relying on Ahmed's knowledge of local customs. The soldiers enter the first suspicious house without issue, and the interpreter assures them it's clear. Instead of weapons, they find an opium den. Since drugs are not part of their mission, they leave the house. After finishing their patrol, they head back to base. On the way, they meet fellow soldiers who finished their search earlier. Taking their time to return to command, the men take a break, reminiscing about their fallen comrade, but without mentioning the local interpreter. Kinley reports to command that the mission was unsuccessful and requests permission to use alternative methods to locate the workshop producing improvised explosive devices. A cunning general grants him freedom to act at his own discretion. Skirting bureaucracy, John obtains a lead from a colleague on a local man involved in terrorism. Taking Ahmed with him, the sergeant sets out to apprehend the suspect, disguising himself in civilian clothes. The Americans seize the suspect in the street and offer him two choices: money in exchange for information, or a jumpsuit and a trip to Guantanamo, where he'll rot away for the rest of his powerless life. The man chooses money, and Ahmed, without consulting John, pays him out of his own pocket. After obtaining the information, they return to base. John checks with a subordinate and learns that Ahmed didn't translate everything. He had concealed threats made against his family. The locals know Ahmed well. He was once involved in heroin trafficking, but everything changed after the Taliban killed his son. The next day, the soldiers go to verify the coordinates they received. Hadi, a local guide, suggests taking a longer route since the shorter one was washed out by rain. But before the turnoff, Ahmed asks to stop, suspecting Hadi is leading them into a trap. Kinley sends troops up a hill for reconnaissance. They report the area is clear, and satellite intel confirms it. Ahmed beats Hadi and threatens him with a gun, prompting the soldiers to raise their weapons. When Hadi confesses that his family is being held hostage, Ahmed hands the pistol to John. Soon after, the scouts report Taliban fighters in the area. Kinley is forced to order a retreat. Back at the base, John calls his family before bed. Ahmed returns home, where his pregnant wife asks when they'll be sent to America. The next day, the unit prepares to inspect a second site located 120 kilometers from the base. However, command refuses to provide helicopters, forcing them to travel by vehicle. After 3 hours of bumpy driving through Afghanistan's scenic landscape, the soldiers arrive at an abandoned mine. Local men are loading barrels. After questioning them, the Americans split into two teams and begin searching the area, unaware that reinforcements have already been called. Finding a weapons cache, the soldiers detain the locals and take defensive positions. Kinley and others climb a ladder to the top, where they find a stash of homemade bombs and Taliban fighters. They call for air support and storm the warehouse, killing the terrorists. After planting explosives in the stash, they leave. At that moment, an attack begins. One soldier is killed instantly. Several more vehicles approach, backed by infantry on a hilltop. The machine gunner and sniper open fire, trying to hold off the attackers until air support arrives, 15 minutes away. As the first pickup truck gets close, the gunner is killed by return fire, and another soldier takes his place. The sniper tries to keep new vehicles at bay, but with little success. The Taliban bring out a mortar, shifting the battle dynamics. Under mortar cover, they hit the machine gun vehicle and kill several more soldiers. The remaining Americans reach the second vehicle, but it's damaged. The Taliban continue to advance. Kinley orders them to capture Taliban pickups. The remaining 4 soldiers manage to do so. After killing some of the militants, the Americans flee in the seized vehicles, but one of them is hit by a mortar round. Kinley and Ahmed flee, returning fire at their pursuers and calling for backup. When one of the tires is shot out, they veer off the road and continue on foot through rough terrain. New Taliban fighters arrive at the mine, counting their dead after the battle. Without the means to signal their team, Kinley and Ahmed move deeper into the wilderness by sunset to stay ahead of their pursuers. After spending the night in the wild, John wakes Ahmed in the morning. The base is 120 kilometers away on foot, and with the Taliban on their heels, they must move quickly and silently. They hurry as best they can, but the enemies are already tracking them. While descending a steep slope, Ahmed loses his weapon, and John gives him a pistol in return. They reach a narrow ravine guarded by a Taliban patrol and successfully eliminate them quietly, seizing their radios and weapons. They manage to take out the next lookout as well and hide the body in the bushes. However, they are soon spotted from the slopes. Kinley opens fire, and the noise draws more fighters from the surrounding area. They are forced to fight their way forward, hiding among rocks to mislead their pursuers and choose an alternate route. By sunset, the survivors reach an abandoned cabin, where they decide to spend the night. Over the radio, they hear an order from the Taliban commander: find and capture the infidels alive. In the morning, the fugitives are awakened by static from the radio. Their pursuers are close enough to pick up a signal. It becomes clear they've found some kind of house, likely their hideout. Telling Ahmed to prepare to move out, Kinley steps outside. While surveying the area, he is shot and falls. If it weren't for the order to take him alive, the fighters would have simply executed him. Instead, Kinley is shot in the leg and struck hard in the head with a rifle butt, and once more for good measure. The Taliban drag Kinley toward a pickup truck, but Ahmed appears and guns them down, delivering a finishing shot to each. He treats John's wounds, dresses him in local clothes, builds a makeshift stretcher, and begins dragging the sergeant away, avoiding main roads where they could be caught more easily. As they approach populated areas, Ahmed hides from passing vehicles. He buys a used truck from a local merchant, using money taken from John's pockets. Taking a risk, Ahmed drives onto the road but is soon stopped by four armed men whose car has broken down. They ask for a ride. Ahmed agrees, pretending he's just a humble carpet merchant and not the man they're looking for. Failing to notice the American hidden among the carpets, the militants get off once they reach their destination. Driving off-road again, Ahmed encounters a camp of shepherds and hunters. He offers them a trade, the pickup truck in exchange for a cart and painkillers for his friend. The shepherds, who also dislike the Taliban, agree. They help move John into the cart and give Ahmed some opium and a pipe for pain relief. Ahmed continues dragging the wounded sergeant through mountainous terrain. Day after day during rest stops, he gives John opium to help him cope with the pain. The journey is not only long, but extremely difficult. Dragging a cart uphill is far from the same as rolling it on a road. Despite all the hardships, the interpreter doesn't give up, and soon from the mountaintop, he sees Bagram Air Base, the final destination of their perilous journey. Stopping at a small roadside market to buy water, Ahmed notices a Taliban pickup truck approaching. One of the men spots a pair of boots sticking out from under the carpets, and lifting a corner, sees the face of the American. Ahmed quickly pulls out his pistol and kills three of them. He then engages the fourth in hand-to-hand combat, eventually strangling him. At that moment, American soldiers arrive on the scene. 4 weeks later, John Kinley is recovering in a hospital under medical supervision. 3 weeks after that, he is discharged and sent home to California. There, a fellow serviceman visits him, and John admits he remembers nothing. The sergeant believes that his survival is thanks to Ahmed, and that he deserves a reward. However, it turns out that after handing Kinley over to the U.S. military, Ahmed vanished. The Americans had not issued him a visa. To the locals, Ahmed became a hero. To the Taliban, he became their primary target. Now Ahmed and his wife are in hiding, waiting for permission to leave for America. Upon learning this, John starts calling every agency he can, trying to secure a visa for his rescuer. But the bureaucratic machine moves too slowly. Plagued by nightmares of the heroic past, John keeps trying to help Ahmed, to no avail. Without Ahmed's physical presence, a visa is impossible. Struggling with guilt and trauma, the sergeant realizes he must return to Afghanistan himself to find Ahmed and get him out. To do this, Kinley will need help from his colleagues, including those working for a private military company, as well as his wife's consent to remortgage their house in order to pay for fake documents and hire mercenaries. Meanwhile, Ahmed, his wife, and their newborn son are hiding from the militants. With the support of loyal locals ready to warn him of raids by phone, Ahmed silently eliminates a scout and sneaks through the streets with his wife until they reach a truck that takes them away. Reminding his fellow soldiers that they too owe Ahmed their lives, Kinley prepares for a rescue mission. He arrives at the airbase in Kunduz, where he is greeted by Parker, a true patriot with fire in his eyes. Parker informs him that he has contacted Ahmed's brother and knows where he is hiding, but at the moment, he can't send anyone to look for him. A higher priority mission has come in. He offers to wait a few days until the mercenaries are free, but Kinley insists on sticking to the plan. Parker offers a compromise. John will go find his friend himself, and once he does, he'll call in a helicopter and they'll come pick him up. Not wanting to waste time, the sergeant gets equipment from the mercenaries and sets off. Checking the map along the way, the former soldier nearly gets caught by militants, but they show no interest in a lone wanderer wearing a keffiyeh. Soon, Kinley reaches the town where Ali, Ahmed's brother, and a drug dealer runs a store. Ali warns that it will be difficult to get his brother and his family out in a clean vehicle and offers his own truck with a driver. Since Ali deals drugs under Taliban protection, he has a pass through their checkpoints. John agrees and hides in the truck bed, heading out to meet Ahmed. The truck makes it through the first checkpoint successfully, but later, other Taliban fighters stop the vehicle for a personal inspection. The driver's attempts to negotiate fail. John, hiding among the cargo, is forced to open fire and eliminate the militants. They dump the bodies in a roadside ditch, unaware they're being watched from another vehicle. A spy alerts the Taliban and begins tailing the truck. In the morning, the truck arrives in a small village. John finds Ahmed, who is working as a mechanic, and calls Parker using a satellite phone to discuss the evacuation. Parker informs him that a helicopter will arrive at a dam 2 kilometers from the village. Kinley has 2 hours to get Ahmed and his family there. John tells his rescuer that now it's his turn to save Ahmed and his family, but they must leave immediately. The Taliban already know the location of the escaped American and the traitor helping him. A punitive squad is on its way, and even Parker's men realize they're dealing with one of the most wanted men in the region. This requires serious firepower. After gathering Ahmed's family, they head toward the dam, where extraction is planned, but they're already being chased. Kinley returns fire, disabling one pickup truck and buying enough time to block the tunnel entrance with the truck. After blowing it up with a grenade, they continue on foot, forcing the pursuers to do the same. Ahmed and John exchange gunfire as the Taliban bring in reinforcements and more vehicles to the dam. Kinley begins to suspect the rescue mission has gone off course, but suddenly heavy fire rains down from above. Parker has called in air support. After a devastating barrage, the plane returns to base, and mercenaries arrive from the opposite side of the dam to provide cover for their retreat. John, Ahmed, and his family board the helicopter and fly to the airbase, from where they will be sent to America with visas and new documents. The film ends with an informational summary over archival footage. In August 2021, American troops withdrew from Afghanistan after a 20-year military campaign. Within a month, the Taliban had seized full control of the country. More than 300 interpreters and their families were executed, while thousands more continue to live in hiding. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more.